You guys are slow.
You speed demon.
I guess I'm the only thirsty one.
Professional pour right here, guys.
I can't even see that.
You got to go slow to go
Why
fast.
are you hiding it?
Yeah.
Right there.
Boom. Love it.
Yeah. Did I tell you?
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy, you did. Oh man, that is good.
And you know, as we sit here and talk, that baby's gonna warm up a little bit, and you're
it is.
Man.
Yeah, did you just pull it out of the fridge, Mike?
I did. Yeah, I wish I had prepared that one a little bit better, but yeah, I'll let it take its time.
Put it between your thighs, it'll be fine.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
So for tonight, I chose the Eugene's Broccoli, Biden's Other Half collab, 8.5% double IPA, New England style or hazy IPA, as some people call it. And this one doesn't say the hops on the can, but on Untapped, it says that it has Citra and Mosaic, which is the Eugene's Axe base beer that Biden's does, and then it has Simcoe and Hallertau Blanc and Cascade. So Citra and Mosaic and Simcoe are all from the Pacific Northwest. I think Oregon and Washington. And then Hallertau Blanc, I'm not sure where that's from. Cascade is from New Zealand, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, it's really good. Nice and thick. Biden's does it the best. And I'll be the first to say that Other Half isn't as good as they used to be anymore, but they still have a special place in my heart because they were one of the best a long time ago.
Got things rolling in a big way.
Yeah, they started making the best IPAs for anybody else, like big triple IPAs that were super smooth and tasty when everybody else tasted like shit. So
in the charge.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
So actually,
cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I cracked open another half as well.
Oh, nice.
So this one's been chilling down in the basement for a while. So this is a coffee stout, the Snowbird 6 bottle.
Yeah, the Jay Wakefield collab.
Yeah, which I think is a local coffee producer down there in Middletown, New York. But the label is just like crazy. So it's maple bourbon barrel aged almond topped molasses maple banana ice cream imperial stout with Marcona almonds, coconut, toasted coconut, nibs, banana, cinnamon, molasses, maple syrup, and milk sugar. There might be something else in there.
You should try to memorize that.
Yeah, exactly. You have to read that, Jim? Well, come on, man.
See if you can read it again at the end of the show without stumbling.
Yeah.
I've got it as a tattoo, but I can't read it on the back of my.
I think
you need a mirror. It's in reverse.
For a stout, coconut's my favorite add-on. I mean, I
agree.
That's one thing. If I'm looking at a stout, I'm looking to see if it's got coconut in it. And secondly, maybe some cacao nibs and maybe some cinnamon. Is that banana? Is it strong in there, or is it on the lighter side?
It's warming up a little bit. It's in there for sure.
Okay,
but it's not really strong. It's definitely more of a maple than the others.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, coconut is one of my favorite adjuncts for stouts, but they have to put enough of it so that you can taste it. Otherwise, it's just like when I get a coconut stout, I want to taste the coconut. So if they half-ass it, doesn't do it.
No question. That's a good call.
For sure.
Mike, what are you drinking?
So I'm drinking the Mortalis Whams Above, Whams Below, which is absolutely fantastic. So again, not much information on the can with this one. 10% alcohol by volume. On the can, Imperial Coffee Stout brewed with coffee, coconut, vanilla. And the coconut really comes, like you guys are just talking about, the coconut really comes through on this. It's like definitely well balanced. A little bit of coffee on the end of it. The vanilla is subtle, but it's there. Minimal alcohol presence for 10%. Goes down smooth. This is I'm waiting for. I've just had a couple sips. I'm gonna let it warm up, like you guys talked about, open up a little bit, kind of see how it goes. But definitely good stuff. This is a collaboration. I think I have it here on tap. Yeah, collaboration with Prison City Pub and Brewery.
Are they in
I'm
New
not sure.
Jersey or New York? Somewhere?
Auburn, New York. Yeah.
Okay.
Auburn, New York. Yeah. So definitely good. Definitely smooth, kind of creamy. It's definitely enjoying it. So
Yeah,
we'll see how it
Auburn-
opens up for sure.
Yeah,
Auburn's
there's-
out near where Mortalis is. So they're
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's
They're-
out kind of near like Rochester, right?
yeah, it's all in kind of that
Yeah.
neighborhood. And other half Finger Lakes is out right near there too.
Right. Yeah, that's a nice area.
Yeah,
Kinda talking
Mortalis stouts are always like super creamy, and I feel like the coffee is always really nice too. Like it,
Mhm. Balanced well with the coconut.
it's always like a really
For
rich, smooth
sure.
coffee flavor instead of like
Yeah.
being too bitter.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm waiting
Yeah,
for that.
definitely
One.
agree.
I'm waiting for that one to release again, Eric.
The Thanatos,
Yeah,
yeah, sounds amazing.
I had my last one a couple of weeks ago. I want to stock up again next time. I just kind of like every couple months look in the back of the fridge and it looks back at me.
So I've got one chilling downstairs for you, Paul. I'm happy to.
What?
Well, Sunday sucked, so the price might be up a little bit.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, they won't be doing that one again until December. They said they used to do it twice a year, but I guess now it's just once a year.
You could have one in August. I'm just saying.
It's gonna cost you, but
In the price. I think I got like 4 of those last time, 3 or 4, and I was like, man, I should have probably got double of whatever I picked up. It was that good.
Yeah.
And that one holds. I mean, I held on to that thing. I don't know, Eric, how long we have those?
We
6
got
months?
them in December, so yeah, they're like 6
Ah.
months old.
Yeah, so I had my last one 6 months.
That one that you and I shared last time I was out there was like a year old, and it was still amazing.
Yeah, it just holds. You just keep it climatized.
Yeah, stouts can last if they're barrel aged. They can last indefinitely. They'll just keep aging and they'll change, but they won't go bad or anything. But other stouts, if they're not barrel aged, like those cans that you're drinking, Mike,
Yep.
those will easily last 6 months, possibly a year. 6 months for
Yep.
sure. So you at least want to try one like within that first 3-month or 6-month period. But then
Yep.
after a year, it's like it probably starts falling off and losing some flavor because they're not as they don't have as robust of a base as the
Right.
aged ones.
Yeah, I drink one of those, Mike, like a couple days after I got them, and then
Yeah.
I drank the next one the next day. I'm like, I'm
Nice.
gonna
It was good.
way too fast. I gotta.
Yeah, I'm gonna have the other one probably tomorrow. This is
I'm
good.
excited for those to come this week for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be stoked, dude. You're gonna love it. It's really good.
Just leave your
Yeah.
door unlocked, Mike. I'll swing by. No,
Yeah, exactly.
keep an eye on them for you.
So
Yeah.
Paul,
There you go. You
sipping on
you turned them down to me.
I did.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I don't know. Aaron judgment right there.
Portland beer, Paul.
Yeah. So what I've got here, boys, which I'm gonna share with you guys. I got some in the fridge
Is this
for
the
you.
first one you've tried of it?
This is the first one. And I'll tell you what, man, this thing is smooth. It hits.
Yeah.
Right.
Liking it?
It's
Yeah.
This is the Brewhaus released a couple weeks ago. It's nice to see beer lines in Portland again. You know, yeah, it's a love-hate relationship. You know, you go down there and you got to stay in line for 45 minutes, an hour, hour 15. But I'll tell you what, this collab here with Trim Brewing is fantastic. It's got some honey in it, some Nelson CGX, and some Citra, a couple other items here. But you can really taste that honey. It's really smooths it out a little bit. Comes
Nice.
in at 9%. Just fantastic. I think I've hit the last couple that they've released here in the last 6 months, and to me, it doesn't have that. You have that kind of a bite on the end of Brewhaus usually, where you can really. It's like a kind of a signature like bite to it. This one's a little bit more smooth, and I think maybe that honey smooths it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Man,
What's it looking like, Mike? Or did you finish it already? Correct. Paul.
Yeah, right there.
Nice.
Yeah,
it looks
really,
nice. Nice color.
really nice, really
Yeah.
nice color. Pretty thick and creamy. There's the last. I'm kind of sucking it down a little bit quick here, but it's
Yeah, buddy.
it's pretty tasty.
Rough day at the office, huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been pretty warm out here, so I was driving home sweating it up a little bit, and pretty thirsty. Haven't had a beer in a couple of days, so I was ready to. And I've been hanging on to this one for you guys. I've been bleeding out here in the north.
Yeah.
Saying, hey,
Just watching it, staring back at you from the fridge, like, drink me.
yeah, I said, hey, I got him last week. I've been hanging on to him for the big show, and I just want to do, crack that first can right here. And I'm glad I did. It's fantastic.
Attaboy, man. That's the way to do it.
Appreciate it. I'm excited to get those too.
Yeah, it's good.
That one had like a 4.75 on Untapped, and now it's like 4.65. So
yeah, I think it was like number one for the week, maybe
Mhm.
something like that. But yeah, I get it. It's a strong showing. Really good.
do you feel like it's better than the last two that he released? Because like the first few IPAs that we had from Brewhouse were incredible, and that's how I got hooked. But then like now he changed facilities and he's in Living House instead of Great Notion. And the two IPAs he made there previously, I feel like they were good by all means. There's nothing wrong with them, but they were not as impressive as the other ones. He set a really high bar for himself.
Yeah.
Which is really respectable. But yeah, how does this one hold up compared to like the original ones that were super good?
It's definitely different, no doubt. I think it's smoother. I think that honey piece kind of smooths it out a little bit, and maybe because it's a collaboration, maybe that's lining it up a little bit differently.
Well, Troon is like the most hyped brewery there is right now. It's like impossible to get anything from them, and yeah, they're in New Jersey, so I mean, that also, like having a collab with Troon sets super high expectations, and I don't know, it doesn't seem like anybody was disappointed, but
yeah, it's good. We have
that's why I
to
was
talk
excited about
East
that
Coast boys into a road trip into Jersey.
Yeah, I got my sister and brother-in-law live down there. Get in touch. Do you know where in Jersey it is?
I
It's in
think Jimmy
Hope.
has looked it up.
Yeah, it's in
Where is it?
Hopewell, New Jersey. So it's like probably near Princeton would be the biggest landmark, but it's it's not that big of an operation.
It's not a tap room. It's basically just like a garage with some tanks, and they don't even can their stuff. They just sell it in crowlers. So each person is allowed to buy 2 crowlers. That's the limit, and they sell out in like an hour. They don't announce it beforehand. It's just once it's ready, they say, okay, it's 5:06 p.m. We have beer available. They just post it on Instagram, so you have to see it, drive there immediately.
Yeah, no way my brother-in-law's doing that for me.
Yeah, it's like ridiculous to get. And then that's why people can trade like 1 crowler for like a 4-pack of Fidens, which is insane.
Wow. I didn't know it was a little operation like that. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's as big as my garage, and that's not that big.
Wow.
So
there's a restaurant right next to it. You can get some of the stuff on tap there. So it's not that big of a restaurant. It's nice, but I don't know if it's always available there either, though.
That kind of reminds me of some of the Ben breweries back in the day. Kind of when the scene was just coming up, where they weren't canning. You literally, to Erik's point, you just had to show up and get a crowler or a growler or whatever.
That's how everybody starts. That's how Great Notion was too. They sold crowlers. Fidens sold crowlers in the beginning.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, they're like a pretty new brewery. I can't remember when they opened exactly, but hopefully they get a canning line soon so people can get more of it, because it's supposed to be amazing. I still haven't tried anything directly from them, but all the collaborations they've done with other breweries I like have been amazing. So
a friend of mine shot me a text last night, and I guess down at Living House there was a Brewhouse had another collaboration down there, Fast Fashion
Hmm.
Brewery with Brewhouse, and it was a Death at the Bar 9.5 triple IPA, and
Nice.
not cans of it, but it's on tap. I'm gonna try to get down there maybe tomorrow just to get a glass of it and see how it tastes.
Yeah, it'd be worth trying.
Yeah, I didn't know about it. He just flipped it to me and said, "Hey, they got this on tap down there." I was like, "Yeah, stop in, check it out."
Give it a shot.
Yeah, for sure.
Jimmy, what percent did you say that stout was? It was like 15?
Yeah, I didn't say. So it's 14.
Oh,
Nice.
you came to play.
Ooh, yeah.
Is this we're calling it a nightcap?
Yeah.
And there's
For
probably
sure.
already like beer number 2 or 3 for Jimmy because it's later over there.
Yeah.
Oh, you savage!
I'm not saying anything on that one. But
Yo, come on, you can't plead the fifth. What else you
you're-
been drinking?
You're not far off.
No comment. No comment. I get it.
You had a couple Trulies, and now you're on to the stout, right?
What an animal.
So speaking of other half and stouts, back in 2020, like 3 days before the pandemic, like lockdown, my wife and I randomly went to New York for a getaway. And so while we were there, we went to the other half tap room and tried their stuff for the first time. And coincidentally, that same weekend was their Pastry Town event, which is just breweries from all over the country come, and it's only stouts, maybe like a few sours, just real like sweet, crazy pastry style stouts and beers and stuff. And they also had pastries. So my wife and I went to that because it sounded awesome, and it was awesome, obviously. But yeah, it started at like noon, so we tried to eat like as much food as we could before we went, so we wouldn't be on an empty stomach. But you just walk around and get a pour of anything you want, and they're like 15, 16, 18, 20% stouts that taste like banana bread and chocolate chip cookies and ice cream,
Oh, good.
cinnamon rolls, like everything you
man.
can imagine is insane.
That sounds
So
amazing.
cool.
Yeah, we were super lucky we got to do that because then they couldn't do it again for like maybe a year or two. And then, yeah, now I don't know if it's as good. That's back when other half was still like in their prime. Everything they were doing was incredible. And yeah, every IPA I tried at the tap room was just insane. Like so thick and creamy and so like, the thing with like the East Coast IPAs is they don't hold back on the hops at all. And so like a lot of people that have tried IPAs, unless they've tried like anything like these are like 2, 3, 4 times as saturated with flavor. It's just like explosion, like Biden's is just crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Those anniversary beers they put out, I really like those.
Those are pretty good.
Those are pretty good.
The more Citra than all Citra is pretty good. And then the triple Citra Chroma Daydream, I think it was called, was really good.
Yeah, that was a decent lineup. I was pretty impressed with that one.
Yeah, and then the anniversary ones they did, those were pretty good again this year. They're just hit or miss now.
Yeah.
If you choose well, you can still have some good luck with them, but it's not as
Yeah.
consistent now that they've opened so many more locations and they're producing so much more. Because yeah, back in the day, they'd release like 1 or 2 beers a weekend, and people were sleeping on the sidewalk the night before to be able to get them in the morning.
That's what you love to see right there.
Yeah, people sleeping on the sidewalk. Yeah, for sure.
That's when you know it's going to be good. It's like, yeah, that's the good old days right there.
Heck yeah.
Just not in the winter.
Are you seeing much of a line over there at Fiden's?
They opened the tap room officially tomorrow for anyone. So it might be out of hand. I'm not sure. So they open at 3 tomorrow.
Nice.
And he's not sure if he's going.
Dude,
What?
He's not working or anything tomorrow, and he's not sure if he's
Dude, at least do a drive by, man. Just like go by, and if it's like a total zoo, like
Yeah,
whatever, bail, come back.
I would go no matter what.
Yeah,
you need it.
That's an experience, man. Say that you're there the first day.
first date open.
I can overnight K2 if you need her. Just
Yeah,
put her in
keep
line.
it-
Put her in line as a placeholder.
exactly.
Well, it
There you
might,
go.
she might clear the crowd a little bit.
Yeah, just put her like post her up as number 3, and then just I could say, hey, she's with me.
Nice. Yeah, Jimmy, you got to go, man. How actually remind me again how far it is from your house?
It's not too bad. It's the new location is probably like 50 minutes. So,
Okay.
but from work, it's 5 or 10 at
Right.
best.
Oh, geez.
So, yeah.
So
So
let's introduce Biden's in case we do ever post this and people for some reason
Don't know.
watch it. Biden's is, I think, all of our absolute favorite brewery, and I think it's like every craft beer enthusiast's favorite brewery right now because they're just the absolute best ever. I've never had anything better than their best stuff from anybody else.
right.
And
Right,
they're in
for sure.
upstate New York. So for a long time, they didn't have a tap room or anything. You can't go and drink beer there. They just had their tanks and everything, and they would just can stuff. And thanks to Jimmy, who would go and get in line for us because he lives near there. You can just get cans to go. But now they're opening a brand new tap room so you can drink on site, which I'm sure it tastes even better on draft. I can't imagine like what those triple IPAs taste like out of a keg instead of the can. And
That's gonna be crazy. Yeah.
It's gonna be so good.
I'm feeling a fall trip, probably not this fall, but maybe next fall, where Erik and I are joining me over there on the East Coast and
Heck yeah.
sipping some fightings with the boys and getting out. And,
A little Vermont foliage.
yeah,
Heck
absolutely.
yeah.
You're right in the middle of it, right?
Smack in the center, yeah.
who's gonna want to be the designated driver though?
Yeah.
That's what we got Uber for.
Just go drink and then have them drive us around to the best spots to take photographs.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
That'd be a good trip. That'd be a really good trip.
No, it really would be. I have plenty of room in my house, so hang out here. Could launch out of here. Pretty much, I don't like smack in the center of the state, so we can go north, south, east, west. The whole thing.
For you, Mike, is that you think it's late September?
No, early first 2 weeks of October. It's kind of when your peak is.
Okay.
It's variable year to year. The past couple of years, it's really been the first week. But the past couple of years has been super dry summer, so I'm kind of interested to see what happens this year because we've had the exact opposite of that. It's been nonstop rain.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious to see if that influences the foliage at all. You know, there's all sorts of stuff out there that tries to predict, when the peak foliage is going to be, and it's all bullshit in the end. Like it seems to do its own thing year to year. The first year I moved here was 2016. And it was a really late year. It was like the third week in October is when it was peaking. So it's kind of all over the place. But without a doubt, the second week of October is going to be good, like without a doubt. And I kind of like late peak for photography anyway. You get some of the leaves coming down. You don't have quite as much color, but there's a little bit more variation to it. And I think it's a little bit better of a time. It's not quite as in your face. So. There's pretty good range. So
yeah, it's not quite as
Go
red,
ahead.
Yeah,
exactly.
You extra, and then the oaks start chiming in on everything.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But one area will be really good, and another area won't be so hot, and you just kind of have to drive around.
Exactly.
It doesn't all.
There's variation in elevation.
Yeah, well, it's elevation, and I mean, I've tried to understand it, and I can't. But like Route 100 in Vermont goes straight north south in the state, and it is like the quintessential like foliage tour. Like they've got the scenic byway and all this stuff, and then the past few years it's been awful for foliage. It's just turned brown and it just kind of died off, and there's been no color. To get from my house to Route 100, you go over this mountain pass called Brandon Gap, and you literally be on the west side of Brandon Gap, and it is gorgeous, like crazy color. The maples are red, orange. It's all over the place. And as soon as you crest that cap and you come down towards Route 100, it's like the other side of the mountain. It's just like everything is brown. I can't for the life of me figure it out. But you start to get an idea in early September, like what's going to be good, what areas are going to be good. And so, every year I'm kind of out driving around in September, scouting it out, not necessarily making photographs or anything like that, but just kind of seeing where the leaves are turning and where the color is, at least early on. And it'll usually hold up. So you get a couple weeks ahead of time where you know where to go, so you don't waste your time, driving up, Route 100 if it's going to suck. So
That's great.
yeah, that's kind of,
I want to hit that. Erik, come on, baby.
Yeah, I'm down.
24? Maybe.
I think we can swing it.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of fun. That'd be a fun trip.
You can just do the
Yeah.
AI autofill too. Just
Yeah, there you go. Somebody had to say it.
Definitely Brews and Views trip right there. It's
There you go.
you're saying like
Yeah,
we're gonna get
On the scene.
yeah.
In the field.
Erik and
Yeah.
I will bring like a big luggage rack and just pack that baby full.
Yeah.
I'll pay
We should do a whole thing where like Jimmy and I are trying to take like photos. We got our tripod set up and you guys are sloshed, just like knocking over everything. And just...
Hey, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't get drunk.
Yeah, they go to meetings, right?
Yes,
Just have like one beer every now and then.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Once a
And
month.
it's good.
Yeah.
It's creamy. Did you guys like this one, the Eugene's broccoli? You try it yet?
I haven't tried that one yet.
I really like that one.
It's
I like
good.
that one a lot.
The other collab they did with the other half, the cheddar double IPA, was even better. I think that was really good.
Agreed. That was tasty.
I got to get both of those. I got them both lined up and ready to go.
They're in their prime right now, so
Yeah, I'll get after them this week for sure.
yeah. So IPAs, if you're buying IPAs in the store, for anyone listening, you should always check the date because I would say in general, if they're being refrigerated, kept cool and everything, they have a shelf life of a month for sure, maybe 6 weeks. If it's from a brewery that has like, recipes where they're really saturating it with the hops, so using tons of ingredients, and they also have a great canning method so that they're not introducing too much oxygen at the time of canning, they can last a little bit longer. Like Fidens, they last 3 months, I would say, no problem. Most of them. Some of them kind of lose their flavor a little bit after like 6 weeks, but especially the triple IPAs that they do, I've never had one that didn't taste good even at 3 months or like 3.5 months. But definitely check the date on the bottom of the can, or if it's like a small craft brewery, it might be on the actual label. But yeah, my like rule of thumb if I'm buying something at a bottle shop is I never buy anything more than a month old, because after that it's just a waste of money most likely.
That's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up because there's so many times when you go into, you can literally go into a bottle shop and you're looking at something on the shelf that's 6 months old or 4 months old, and there's just no point.
So this one that I'm drinking is from May 31st.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost 2 months old, but yeah, it still tastes amazing. Hasn't fallen off at all. Tastes just as good as the first can that I had, which was like within 3 weeks. I always try to drink at least one can within that 3-4 week period just to make sure I don't miss out on anything. And then I'll let the other ones sit and drink them at like 2 months or within 3 months. Unless they're from a brewery that I know won't last as long. But yeah, IPAs don't have an infinite shelf life. So definitely try and drink them fresh.
And keep them refrigerated.
Always cold. Yeah. And also, so that's a good point too. You want to always store them cold, but I actually like to drink them like close to room temperature. I think if you drink them too cold, you can't taste all the flavor. They really open up and become a lot more fruity and smooth as they get warmer. Unless you're drinking a triple sunshine from Lawson's.
That's quality beer right there.
Yeah.
You just teed me up to pull my second one out of the cooler, Erik.
Yeah, buddy.
So we can get
one on deck.
Yeah, get one on deck. Let it warm up just a little bit. And
yeah, my fridge is pretty cold. but I let them sit for like 20 minutes probably before I crack them open.
Yeah.
Also, if you pour it and let it sit, it's going to start, oxidizing and start falling off while it's in the glass. So I like to warm it up and then crack it open so you don't have any kind of weird stuff happening to it, getting flat or anything.
Especially those stouts you boys have. I mean, those things right now, I mean, they're
It's getting better.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's getting way better.
Yeah, so is. So is.
I was like,
so you hear me talking much. I'm just,
Isn't that amazing, Mike?
It really is. It's opening.
Man.
I mean, it's a good foot and a half away from me. I keep smelling it too. Even it's so good, so good.
Yeah,
Mortalis is pretty solid. Their smoothie sours and stouts are like always a home run.
Yeah, I got those smoothies in there too.
Those smoothies really hold up.
Yeah.
Sours and stuff will last a long time. I've never really had any fall off, even like within a year. I think it's just because they pump so many ingredients into them. Yes, it just has room to like smooth out a bit or lose a little bit of flavor.
For sure.
They definitely overdo it in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So Jimmy, you had a fun art show this weekend?
I did. Yeah. So it was what did we do? We drove down at the crack of dawn on Thursday. Set it up. Took about 7 hours to set it up. It was a little crazy. 7, like straight.
And that was in Connecticut. So you drove from upstate.
Yeah, it was about. Yeah, I drove 2.5 hours to Connecticut to get there, and it was like, yep. So 7 hours. I like to time it so I kind of know where I'm at. So it ran Friday, most 10 to 6 on Friday. We got a little bit of rain. It wasn't too bad. And then Saturday was good. And then Sunday morning, it was just like a freaking downpour. I mean, you could have showered outside. It was coming down so hard. There's like, I have a 10 by 20 booth. So it's, it's a big setup. And there's like 1.5 inches of standing water on the floor of my booth with like mud, it's just like
grass, like on a lawn or dirt.
The grass, because people have been walking on it for, myself and then people for 3 days at that point. So it was kind of like rotting already. So the smell was,
oh God.
My house literally smells like
oh, God.
I have these protective sleeves and the artwork is sitting in the mud in these protective sleeves. Nothing was damaged, but I was like, this sucks. So like my garage smells because the panels are in my garage. So I have to hose them off tomorrow.
What does it smell? Is it like the rotting grass smell or is it like mold smell? Like,
honestly, it smells like a outdoor beer party from a frat house. It's just like, you know what I mean? Like that rotten kind of.
So it sounds like it was an awesome show and it's totally.
That was great. Yeah.
I had a
fantastic time.
Record sales.
It was, I don't know, it was like 90 degrees with 100% humidity in that tent because I was in a big circus tent.
Mm-hmm. So you're sweating on top of it. That's awesome.
Oh my God. I was drinking Powerades left and right, man.
You gotta hydrate.
You had questionable stuff in that cooler from that photo you sent us. Apart from the whiskeys.
Yeah, I had already drunk the Capri Suns at that point. So it's like, Jesus.
Yeah, like a little kid at a soccer game or something.
Hydrating like a little leaguer.
So it was a lot of work. It's a great workout, to be honest with you, but yeah, just to miss the last day just was not cool. And
it's brutal.
I don't think anything got damaged, but yeah, no, good times.
Wow. Was it Friday through Sunday, and then Sunday was the drop off?
Right. Yeah. So Sunday was the day they canceled. So they canceled it before we could even open, and so yeah. If anyone wants to chat about art shows, outdoor art shows, I'm happy to
Encourage
know.
them.
There's some wonderful experiences.
Mhm.
Yes. When's the next one?
Never.
No.
He's
No.
retiring. Yeah, he sold his camera.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Is it mid August, and then at I may do one at the very beginning of September, so Labor Day weekend.
Oh, there you go.
So, and then after that, we'll see.
Recalibrate.
Those art
Yeah.
shows are a lot of work, and sometimes there's like zero payoff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hit or
Yeah.
miss for sure.
There's a
Breaking
ton
even.
of overhead too. I mean, a 10 by 20 booth. I mean, you've got a ton of money sunk into that.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
the prints. You had some
Yeah.
big, what's the biggest
Yeah.
size that you
That
had?
front.
I was showing about like 10 32 by 48s, and then one of them is a 72 by 34, something like that. And that, it brings people in, but when you sell them, you just have to sell a couple to break even, which is nice, but you got to move them. So
Right.
it's nerve wracking for sure. But
Yeah, to
Yeah.
Mike's point, that's you get to build up some inventory for that stuff, and then
Yeah.
you do.
It takes a while.
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I think you have to kind of like, you sell a piece and you buy like 3 more, and then you sell another
Yeah.
piece, you buy like 3 more, and then you start like actually
Yep.
making a profit from it because
Yeah.
you can have.
So I've built up what are like show pieces. So because moving them around, they get a little scratch here, a little dink there. You can't really sell it to the
you can
client.
discount them.
You can discount them a little bit. Yep.
Yeah, after a while,
Um,
I'll just sell them like discounted or like even at cost just to move it,
Right.
to a cool person or something that
Right.
comes up.
Yeah. Yeah. You totally
Mhm.
can.
Yeah,
That's
because after a while, you just get tired of it and you don't want to keep lugging around the same print. You want to keep your stuff fresh.
Right.
Should I announce that I'm opening another beer because I'm thirsty?
You already finished the
Okay.
first one?
It was that good, boys.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey, right
Get it.
here. Proof.
All right, let's see it.
So I'm gonna open up a triple Jasper.
Oh, you already got
Nice.
this?
Yeah, I still have one of these guys right here.
That one's one of my favorites that Fidens does. It's just it's just all Citra triple IPA, and Citra is like such a classic hop. Everybody is probably familiar with it, but
Yep.
it's like just the best representation of it. It's like just straight up pulpy, thick orange juice, and the last one like tasted a lot like pear juice to me in a good way. Like, oh yeah,
Like
it's
cake
like hop
batter.
milk. Yeah.
Yeah, look at that, boys. Look
Yep.
at that. Yeah, it's professional.
Beauty.
Hey,
That's sexy.
you want
That-
that?
That one is a fresh can, so it doesn't really matter. But like on these really hazy, thick IPAs, do you guys roll your cans at all before you pour them? Like after they're like a month old or anything?
No, but I saw you doing that earlier. I was going to ask you.
Yeah. So like since they're so thick, a lot of it settles, and then when you pour it, it'll be like kind of clear, and it won't
Yeah.
have as much flavor either, because that's all stuff that they intend to be in the beer, but it just naturally falls down. So if you just roll the can a bit first, like on the table, and then like so it doesn't explode or anything, if you just like rotate it like this on the table, it like makes all the carbonation go down. I don't know how it works.
Nice.
Saw it on Better Call Saul. So I do that. And then it's actually just perfect. So
And hey, talk a little bit about that for like a smoothie or a stout.
same thing. Yeah. I always roll my stouts, smoothies, any
Do
kind
you?
of thick beer. Yeah, because otherwise, like with stouts, a lot of those adjuncts will be at the very bottom.
Yep.
And say it's like a banana, coconut, cacao stout. You'll open it up and you'll get the cacao and the coffee, maybe a little bit of coconut, and like you won't get the banana. But if you roll it and all that stuff can mix together again, you can get the full flavor from the top to the bottom instead of like having it gradually change as you work your way down to the bottom of the bottle and having it be like, oh, here's all the good stuff, but it's already
Well,
over.
that's why I'm trying to get down to the bottom of this bottle, because
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
You get
looking.
Yep.
I'm looking for the maple syrup and milk sugar, and I just can't.
Well, that one has so many ingredients. I'd be surprised if you could pick out anything. But that's how other half is. They just go nuts on their stouts.
It's a hot mess, but
kitchen
it's
sink.
it's working well though. but it's hard to pick out any one particular thing. It's definitely maple because my fingers are sticky. I feel like a
Yeah, mine hurt too.
2-year-old.
Yeah, if
Love it,
you don't get that turn on that can and a little bit of a mix it up a little bit, it's just a thin. It's more of a thin pour on that first run, and then on the last run, it's a real thick pour, and you're just like, okay, I'm really missing out here because I'd like it to be balanced throughout the entire pour. So Erik's point,
right.
yeah, I think he showed me that move back in where were we at? Coyote Gulch?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, Coyote Gulch. Just this guy's savage. He's rappelling down a rope,
with a huge cooler.
carrying a cooler with, I don't know, was it 16 or 12 beers?
It's dedication right there.
12. It was like 3 or 4 cans each night for like 3 nights.
Yeah, this guy,
Nice.
he's going down a rope with the
One I had to hike out too across the desert
yeah, he carries it across the desert like
with
hey,
my backpack
Yes.
because we were
That's his
backpacking. So
backpack.
it
It's
wasn't
not in
just a
the
camera
backpack.
bag. It was like sleeping bag, tent.
It looks like he's going on a picnic. So he's got a big backpack.
Priorities.
He's carrying a cooler. I'm like, hey, dude, you want to like pass that off? Take some take some turns with that thing. And he's like, I got it. And then you slide down the side of the canyon on a rope, and he still got it. And
Savage.
This guy's a total savage.
Yeah, I've had to do that down climb without a rope a couple times because I never take a rope and sometimes there's just not one set up. But it's totally doable. It's just sketchy, like scary, but it's not like difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get that because I think trusting somebody else's rope is problematic as well.
Yeah, it could be like some crusty ass rope that's been there for who knows how long, all weathered and stuff, especially in the fall when it's like maybe raining or freezing at night.
Yeah, I think the first time I was in there was a rope and we dropped our own and we just said, okay, well, we got our own. We'll use that one as a backup. But yeah, you never know, man.
That trip was amazing though. Just like shooting the most incredible scenery all day long because the light is just amazing. Like everywhere you look as it changes and bounces around in the canyon. And it was in the fall. So there's like leaves everywhere and colorful trees and everything. And then get back to the campsite, make some dinner and just drink some brewskis before bed.
Photographically, it's like Disneyland. I mean, and you're just like, we just break off, stick together for a while, break off, kind of do your own thing, come back together. I mean, there's just so much action down there, and you can shoot all day long. You just have that reflective light, and I mean, it's just a really good time down there. We have to get these East Coasters down there.
Yeah, so Mike and I will show you around here. I'll buy a few rounds at Fidens. You take us out there, and
you guys would absolutely love it. And that's the place because it's like from a production standpoint, you just can't beat it, right, Erik?
Oh yeah, but there's no good beer out here, so you're gonna have to send beer out beforehand.
We'll ship
it. No question.
From New York.
No question.
We'll ship it. We'll ship it. We got that down to a science.
If we only know somebody. God damn.
Oh man, yeah, I think Salt Lake may be the worst place on the planet.
It's the beer desert. Yeah, we have one brewery that is decent, TF Brewing in Salt Lake. They do some really nice like pilsners, German beers, and some good New England IPAs every now and then. But other than that, I don't even bother. That's the only one I buy anything from.
Yeah, and even if you
if you can get this, it's like no question.
I think if you want something above 4.5, you have to go to a liquor store. Then you go to the liquor store. You
can get cans, any kind of percentage from cans in Utah. Like they just have to pour it from the can. They can't have it on the taps. Draft is 5% or less. Yeah. Which is fine because like some of the best beers they do are like 6, 7, 8, 9%, and you can't try them on tap fresh.
So guys, it's still a mystery how Erik landed in Salt Lake. We'll talk about that later on a different show.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, so maybe the biggest connoisseur of beer that I know.
It may not be. Yeah.
Desert.
He's got some good friends that'll ship him stuff.
Yes, it's like episode 3 or 4.
It's not a photography desert. That's why I live here. That's for sure.
Yeah.
True story.
Well, it is literally a desert, but it's, you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
Yeah, gotcha.
But it is a beer desert.
Yep.
Well, we're happy to keep shipping stuff out to you. I go out to my town.
I don't want
I
anything
know.
from you. I don't want any of that Vermont swill.
Oh, you want me to send you anything anymore? All right,
From
fine.
Vermont?
Hey, Mike. I'm with you still, Mike. I like the program. I'm with you.
So Mike was the last one that we added into the beer network. So before that, he had never tried Fidens or anything. And he was like raving about Alchemist and Lawson's and whatever else is in Vermont. And I was like, dude,
That's pretty much it.
Don't bother sending me anything until you try beers from this place. So I had Jimmy get him some, and then he was like, yeah, there's no point.
Yeah, it was
Ruined me.
Yeah, no, it does ruin you.
You ruined everybody, dude. You're single-handedly ruined.
Truly does.
You ruined the network.
Yeah.
But you've also like taken care of the network. You're
He's the core,
you're the kingpin.
the keystone.
Yeah, no
Don't
question.
crumble apart without him. There'd be no
Yeah.
point. I'd quit drinking.
Prices
Yeah.
are going up. Prices are going up.
Gas has got to be what, about $12 a gallon now, Jimmy? I mean,
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. I get that 99 octane stuff.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hurricane fuel.
Nothing but the best. You guys, this triple Jasper pour is really nice.
Yeah, how
You
is
liking
this
it or
batch?
what?
Ooh, look at that thing. I mean,
Oh yeah,
come on.
juicy.
That's how I remember it.
Look at that. It tastes
Yeah.
as good as it looks. Holy shit.
That's another thing that I think people don't really think about when it comes to beer. It's not like if you're buying a can of Coke or a can of Bud Light or whatever, it tastes the same every time, no matter what. When it comes to craft beer, it's like such small batches that they're so sensitive to any kind of like additional ingredients or less ingredients or different ingredients, or like if the hops taste or smell slightly different from year to year because the harvest is different. Even if you're buying the same exact beer from the same brewery, it never tastes exactly the same. If it's a good brewery, it'll always be good
Right.
with some consistency, but there's always these slight variances which can be good or bad, right? Sometimes it's like, oh, this is nice, like this isn't quite how I remembered it, but it tastes really nice, like, you know, like a enjoyable change. But then other times it's really disappointing because you're expecting, you know, that same great flavor, and then it's just like not at all how you remember it. So that's definitely another factor of making good beer.
That's such a good point. I mean, it's
Oh yes.
I mean, literally, if you're drinking, like to your point, you know, some Coors or whatever off the shelf, it's the exact same thing every time. It's like
Horrible every time.
Yeah, it's like going
Never
to Starbucks.
disappoints.
Every time you go to
Yeah.
Starbucks, for your coffee, it's going to be the absolute same. But then if you kind of have a local thing that's got, you know, something that's a little bit different, it's just a different treatment. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
It seems like there's way more variables here at play than with something like, say, you know, growing grapes for, you know, various wines. You get a good year, bad year.
Yeah.
But
outside of that, yeah.
This is like so many other variables. It's insane, you know.
That's a great way to frame it up. I totally agree with that.
How is this batch of Triple Jasper?
It's really.
Do you remember how it was last time?
Mm-hmm. It was awesome, and it's awesome again.
Got a really refined palate over there, Paul.
No, I have a sweet spot for these triples. You know, it's like it's almost. I mean, with the triples, especially Fidens, I mean, they absolutely crush it, and so
They really do.
It's not a bad one there.
It's really. I'll take a photo of it. I'll try to like make a little bit of a note of what I thought of it, just so you know when the next time rolls around. But I mean, they're so consistent and consistently crush it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to like go back and say, how does this compare to the last batch?
Yeah, so back in the day, you could get triple IPAs from like, you know, some of the breweries that were around, but the the like gimmick was just that it's like high ABV, so it's a beer that's going to get you wasted, but not necessarily like it's not going to taste super great. But now
Right.
like these really amazing breweries have found a way to handle that high ABV, like 10%, 11% alcohol percentage. But then like now the good thing about them is that in order to mask that alcohol, in order to cover it up effectively, they have to jam pack it with an insane amount of hops. So the flavor is just explosive. And so,
Right.
I mean, in these ones, you can't even taste the alcohol. Like you could give it to anybody on the street and they would think it's like a smoothie or like juice, but it's just hops and water and yeast, but it's just an insane amount of it. So
Yeah.
You're so
super
accurate.
flavorful.
I mean, this thing right
Totally.
here, this has got a 6/21/23 date on it. So we're approaching about a month, and you absolutely cannot taste the alcohol. And to your point,
Yep.
triple back in the day or from certain breweries, it's really alcohol forward. You're like, it's great, but it's a little boozy. Not happening here. I mean, this thing is absolutely smooth and fantastic.
Yep.
Sneaks up on you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, huh, what's wrong with me?
Right.
No,
I can't tie my shoes.
yeah, and like we've been talking about, is it warms up just a little bit, and it's just like, man,
Yeah.
just hits a little bit different.
It opens up
Yeah, it's
for sure.
All right. Well, we should probably start looking at some photos at some point.
Oh, that's pretty.
Who is this?
This is from Sho Hoshino. He's in Japan. I found out about him maybe a year ago. I think if I remember correctly, it's because he bought my book and I was like, oh, I'm shipping this to Japan and it's a photographer. I should check him out. And I looked at his work and I was just blown away.
Nice.
I would say he kind of specializes in like woodland photography. So he has lots of really amazing tree scenes with like atmosphere and incredible light and stuff. And yeah, from his portfolio, it seems like Japan is an amazing place. I mean, this is like as good as it gets when it comes to woodland photography. I'm super jealous of this one. Some kind of poplar tree and then sun rays coming through, like really doesn't get any better than that. And the composition is perfect too. Like
Balance.
really nice balance. Yeah.
Yeah.
His light control right there is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
that's
contrast
stunning.
is nice. Nice and soft.
Yep.
That's
Yeah, I always think, I mean, Japan as a nation is really long, with the islands to the south. But like that northern half, when you get into that deciduous forest that's reminiscent of the Northeast here
Yep.
into Canada, it's just freaking gorgeous. And the mountains and the snow. And
Have you been there, Jimmy?
no, it's been long on my list. And
Yeah.
I have a friend who I work with who his wife is Japanese. And so just craving to get over there with him. But just in terms of like the biome that exists in that northern half, like where Nagano, where the Winter Games were, it's just like,
Yeah, it's so similar to the Northeast. It really is. Like I see
Yeah.
I see images, from that area, and I'm like, man, that's just gorgeous. And it really does remind me of the Northeast, and like you said, up into Canada with the deciduous trees, and then in the winter scenes too, like from Hokkaido. And I don't know if I'm saying that right, but yeah, no, it's a gorgeous area for sure. I'd love to get out there.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
sounds like a beer network adventure.
Trip, yeah.
The light
Hey.
at the back of that image really creates some depth. I really like that. So kind of like, you got that light up front, you've got the trees up front, and it just kind of pulls you through that scene where you just start in the front and you just like work your way back. It's fantastic.
Yeah, back and forth.
I'm gonna
Really
definitely have follow there with the show. I'm gonna look him up after this call. Just
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah, I'll
For
add
sure.
a link for every photographer that we look at in the show notes.
Yeah, I just want to point out that when you look at like Google analytics, in terms of like search word hits and stuff, like I rank very high globally for sake photography.
You need to stop.
What the heck? So I might have a pathway here.
Oh, because of nature's sake photography.
Yeah, I get hit so many times for sake photography. And when you do a Google image search, it's a thing, like food photography.
That's so funny.
Sake photography.
So
that's funny.
That is so funny.
I need to work on a new portfolio.
Yeah, this guy has a lot of great stuff, and there are some other photographers in Japan too. I can't recall their names; it's super hard to pronounce. But there are a lot of people doing some great. I never knew Japan was like so diverse. I never really thought about it, except like cherry blossoms that you would see in the spring or whatever. But
tropical to the south.
Yeah, it's when you think about island, you just think of it as being kind of all the same ecosystem from coast to coast, but it's actually, it's got mountains and forests and lots of different environments.
I really enjoy their mountain and winter scene stuff. That's my main thing is I really like winter type images, ice, snow, mountains, and I've seen a lot of stuff from Japan. It's just like,
I know, I agree. There's something like it's so like open and it's pure, like it's like those pure white scenes that they get out there. I don't know. It's like you can always spot an image from there. Yeah, I don't. You know what I mean? Like you'd be scrolling through Instagram and you'd be like, "Oh, that's got to be." Sure enough, Japan, like Hokkaido or Hokkaido. I don't know how to say it, but yeah, I mean, there's something distinct about it. It's really nice.
Well, like part of like Japanese culture is like this like pride and perfection, like in their art and everything. It's all like super detailed and just like. So perfect, and like the way schooling is over there and everything, and I think like that comes through in their photography, like really pristine images, really clean. But it doesn't feel like contrived or forced at all. It's like it's really cool.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to just kind of frame up what that looks like. That's cool.
Yeah, of course it is.
Definitely.
That's why I said it, Paul.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's awesome. I love that. Whoa!
Nice.
Wait, hang on a second. What do we have here?
So this is I'm gonna hope I'm saying this right, but this is Joe Stefan.
I think it's probably Stefan, maybe.
Stefan,
where they're from.
Stefan, yeah.
They're from the UK.
So yeah, she grew up in North America. And this is I don't know her. This is all from her website. But yeah, currently living in the UK. She definitely is an artist, a photographer that is working in the abstract. None of her images have a big element of realism to them. A lot of abstract expressionism, kind of definitely a lot of expressionist motivation and inspiration. She had a series called Gulls, and this was one of the images from it. So definitely abstract. The subtle tonality changes really grabbed my attention. The movement, I don't know how she made this image, but it's absolutely fantastic, and it's part of a series. I definitely gravitate towards images that are parts of series, and kind of painting a bigger picture of what the artist is trying to express. And so this is one image in a series that really came together beautifully, and so I just happened to share this one, but really every image in this particular collection was phenomenal and so well done, and the consistency of the images in the portfolio or in the collection was phenomenal. So yeah, it just I love abstract. I love how it makes the viewer think and wonder a little bit about what's going on. The title of this collection kind of clued you in a little bit. You can, knowing that Gulls, you can look pretty closely and see that there's some semblance of birds there. But really just a moving image that really kind of grabbed my attention, made me stop and think, and just I love it. I'd love to have this image on my wall for sure.
You can buy it, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I certainly will. I should be happy to sell it. Yeah, for sure.
I'm surprised you got through all that without your bullshit boondock internet cutting out at all.
Yeah, I know. Well, Vermont.
I think this is a great selection. I absolutely love
Yeah.
this. I probably would not have seen this or anything like this unless you selected it.
Yeah.
I like images that make you think.
Yeah.
You don't know how they did it. You maybe not even know what it is,
Yeah.
but it's like, but do you need to?
Exactly.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's just like you kind of just like it just adds a level of just depth to the image where you're visually stimulated like looking at it, but then at the same time you're mentally going, fuck, I don't know how they did that or what. Sometimes even I've seen some event stuff. I'm like, I don't even know what that shit is, but I fucking
Yep.
love it.
Yeah. For
And I
sure.
don't need, and I don't need to know. And
No,
if people
exactly.
like, hey, dude, what is that or this or that or whatever, it's like, you know what? I'm going to enjoy it for what it is. I
Yeah.
love it, and I don't
Yeah.
give a shit what it is. It's really visually pleasing, and
Yep.
I appreciate it on a completely different level. Which that's art, man.
Yeah.
So
It's
Exactly.
I saw when you shared which one you were submitting, Mike. I was like, oh wow, like I recall the image, but she actually has a book out. By
Oh,
Nice.
that's what I was just looking at on her Instagram. She has like lots of
Yeah,
really nice botanical, like close-up flower
Yeah.
things. Like
there's a
really
lot of
She's
botanicals
She's
in
really
here.
prolific.
Yeah, I just
JR, do you have that? You have her book in your hand?
yeah, and that's actually
There it is.
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
the image is right in there, like halfway through. But there's a lot of really interesting botanical stuff, some composite stuff in here.
Yeah.
Really tastefully done, super moody and expression.
Is it like composite or double exposure, you think?
Knowing her is probably my guess would be multiple exposures.
Just layered up.
If it's composite work, it's really tastefully done. Like for instance, this one here.
Yeah, I've always said like I don't really like I have a certain process that I enjoy in photography, and I do photography because I enjoy doing photography.
Right.
But when it comes to other people's work, I don't really care what process they have as long as the end result is like tasteful and engaging and thought provoking, all those things that you look for in a photograph.
Visual prism.
Yeah.
I don't care like what goes into it, if it was composite or in camera double exposure or this or that, like that doesn't really make a difference to me. I think that's more a personal thing for you practicing photography because it affects your experience in making the photograph, but
right.
It's got to do what you enjoy.
And it's all, I mean, the book is it's gorgeous. I had to put it down when I first got it because I was just like, I'm like, how? That's really pretty.
Was that one done by like Kozu Books or?
Yeah, it's from Kozu Books.
Yeah, I thought I saw it on there.
Very cool.
This image took my breath away when I saw it. I didn't even know what to say. It's amazing. Like, yeah, super impressionistic, and I love how you can just barely tell that they're birds. Just enough so you have something to grab onto, but it's ambiguous enough to make you think and ask questions, and it's just an image you can just look at forever and not get tired of.
Exactly.
I would think that it's probably both camera movement, like following the birds, like tracking them, so that's why the background is blurry, but then also like a slow shutter speed, so the birds were just moving a little faster than the shutter speed, so they blurred out a little bit. But yeah, I can't do anything like this, so I really enjoy this kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah,
that's great. Good call, Mike.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's a gorgeous image. I love it.
Oh, you're taking credit for the image, Mike?
No, I appreciate Paul's sense of it in my taste in images. Erik.
Mike wrote the book I just showed y'all.
Exactly.
Oh no, man!
Look at that thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so everybody probably knows Ron.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd ever share one of his images.
You know what? I
never heard of him.
This shot right here is something. I mean, personally for me, something like this I've wanted to shoot for I mean, probably a decade. You know, and it's all a lot of times photography is about timing. You know, you're in the right place at the right time, and you know, every year's different. But you know, certainly nothing like the last image where you can't appreciate it on that level. But this one, I mean, there's a lot of texture, there's a lot of color, um, and Ron has a portfolio of this. I mean, this is just one example of his work. And, you know, that guy's all over the place. And he just has the opportunity to be in the right place at the right time. And that certainly in itself takes some work. But I mean, when I see this and it's got, you know, it's got the, I mean, I always love mud. I love cracks. And then you sprinkle in a little bit of color and you get a good year and you get a good variation of the yellows and the purples. I mean, who wouldn't love this piece on their wall? It's just amazing. It's really pops. I love it.
Yeah, not only is it incredible as with all of Ron's work, he flies under the radar, but I've always said he's one of the best photographers around right now. And he's super prolific. Like he'll release galleries with like 100 images in them and stuff like that, like every couple of months. It's crazy. And they're all like super nice. But yeah, not only is it like really well done, just in terms of the visual elements and everything, but it's such a rare subject matter. Like you can't just be like, oh, this is an awesome image and then go out and shoot it, you know, this kind of scene, because you're probably never, I've never seen this in my life, like flowers coming through mud cracks around you know, the Utah desert or like Anza-Borrego or like those areas where some people have found them, because it's like such a short window too. I think it's only like a week or so, and it requires the perfect spring conditions and stuff, enough rainfall for the seeds to germinate and bloom. So yeah, it's like there's a lot of aspects to this one that make it really unique.
Yeah, perfect overcast day too. I mean, like
No shadows, yeah.
like, but
Yeah.
you know, getting that combination of purple and yellow, you know, like that doesn't happen in the Northeast. I gotta tell you that much.
Exactly.
Like,
I mean, now that you say that, he probably should have got down really low with like a 14mm wide angle lens and shot this as a foreground with like an amazing blazing sunrise. It would have been way better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you just
Definitely.
it's a good and the patterns are great. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that kind of goes into this, as you guys know, but you know, you look at it all and the mud, the cracks, the purple, the yellow, the deeper lines. I mean, it's just, I mean, it's kind of got a lot of really good stuff going.
Yeah, and you know, I think that's the thing about an image like this is you can look at it and on the surface it's ostensibly a fairly simple image, but there's so much nuance that goes into this composition, and to people looking at it, it's just very pleasing. It's such a balanced image, but to have the eye to see that, to put those elements together, to find that exact spot that makes all of that stuff work together, you know, I mean, that's a talent we can all obviously aspire to. And you know, with this image, he absolutely knocked that out of the park. It's perfection. And yeah, I agree with you. I would love to another one. I'd love to have this on my wall. I'd love to stare at this every day. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
Hey, Mike, I know Ron. I can totally make that happen for you. If you
Yeah, exactly. Apparently, I'm buying a lot of prints today. I've already got one of Jimmy's on my wall above my bed. It's 120 inches wide or whatever. So,
which one do you have? Which one do you have of mine?
let me.
just do a screen. Do a screenshot right now. You'll get one.
Last I heard, it was back ordered. I don't know. Like I'm waiting on a COVID or something.
You have my book, and so you ripped out every page and framed every page because you loved it so much.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that's exactly what
Mike's
I did.
pulling up the wall tonight.
Covered a whole wall.
Mike is spending money tonight, folks. He's
hit him up.
Just like
talking up,
making it rain,
Ron.
Baby.
Call him out.
Give me a call, Ron. I got you, buddy.
Yeah, it's a super nice one. Good job, Ron. And if you haven't shot, unless you've shot mud cracks before, you wouldn't know that they're hard as fuck to shoot.
They really are.
The edges.
Absolutely. Yes, the edges are the worst.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
The edges because it falls off on you.
Wow.
Softness.
Who
It
pulled
falls off on you, but you really need something. The edges need to be subtle. There
They
can't
need to
be
be
anything
clean,
prominent there. Yeah.
You can't have like, lines sticking in or random stuff like
Yep.
that. They got to be clean, like exiting tiles on the edges, which is super hard.
Mhm.
All right, so this is one that I submitted here. So it's a photographer out of Sweden, Erik Malm, who
Nice.
I think he's, if I recall right, he's been at it for quite a while, and he might be in his 60s now, maybe early 70s. Does a bunch of workshops and such, but he has a book out now too, with a lot of this work. A lot of it is a lot of really the majority of his body of work right now is a lot of ICM work. But what attracts me to this particular style is that he includes some various very obvious marks of wildlife, and so it's kind of like this impressionistic take on wildlife photography, getting that animal in its native habitat, so you kind of really clearly get a feel for like what it's at, but if there's a whole mood that's thrown into there too. Each one is really unique, but it's that kind of like taking wildlife photography beyond that you know that the iconic image of a bear going after something, or a moose drinking water out of a pond with a gigantic mountain behind it. And nothing against all that. It's very hard to do. Wildlife photography is super, super tough. Takes a lot of patience and a lot of money for the big glass. But this kind of his work is really just really, really interesting to me. Each piece is really unique.
Yeah, I was just looking through his Instagram page, and I'm learning about a lot of new photographers right now because I had never heard of him before, and his stuff is incredible. Like ICM, I love when ICM is used in a way that it's not just like a gimmick, it's like, oh, like nothing is interesting, so I'm going to shake my camera around to see if I can make it interesting. It's like
Right.
when it's like pre-visualized and very intentional, it's super cool. I wish I had that ability, but I never even like think to try stuff like that when I'm out shooting. I just don't see it in the landscapes. Like if I can't visualize something, I hardly ever, end up creating it. I gotta be.
I don't know how I just don't know how he sees it, and it's image after image is just, it's really quite solid.
Jeez, yeah.
Yeah, and he just like you had said with I think you mentioned with Ron, it's just like under the radar a bit. You'll see him occasional post on Facebook from him, and it's just like it immediately like, yep, that's Erik. Like, he's been busy, but he did like an Arctic tour up into Svalbard recently, which looked pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm on his Instagram too. I'm looking at some of those Arctic photos, and yeah, I agree with you. It's like I wish I knew how and when to employ ICM the exact way that he does it, because it is phenomenal. It really changes the scenes and really just adds that element that's above and beyond just kind of like, oh, I'm just going to shake my camera because why not,
Right.
and even with this image too, it really, it's like the atmosphere that it creates and how he did it. It's fantastic, inspiring stuff for sure.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited to check out this guy's work. I mean, the tones and the light and the dark, it's just really, really well done. And I've never even heard of it. And
yeah, me neither. I hadn't heard of him either.
Yeah, and as we're just sitting here talking about it, I'm pulling up his Instagram, checking it out, and it's pretty awesome. I really appreciate you sharing this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he must drink good beer.
I'm sure he does. Should send him some fightings.
Yeah, that's the secret. This one's from Krister Berg. You guys probably follow her already. If you don't, definitely should. What I loved about this scene is it's a fantastic image in every way, composition, like vision, the black and white treatment, the high key editing, all that stuff. But it's like the subject matter wise, this is something that if I saw, I would not even stop for a second to like try and photograph it because it just looks so challenging. And like trees falling over is usually kind of like an instant no-no for me. I don't really mess around with like fallen trees because I'm just like horizontal lines with vertical lines. How's that ever going to work? It's just like a challenge that I'm not ever enthusiastic about dealing with. But in here, it's just like perfectly done. And I really respect when photographers can make an amazing image of a scene that's not just like cookie cutter, pristine, amazing, inherently amazing landscape. It's like, I don't think anybody else would ever try to photograph this if they walked by this on that same day besides her.
Definitely. When this first popped up, yeah, I definitely follow her. And it's like she has such an ability to do that with these types of scenes. And so many of her images are like that. And, I think the exact same thing. Like, I would never stop to think to photograph that, or I couldn't. And as soon as it popped up, I was like, that's got to be her. Like I just knew right away. And yeah, she's such a talent for that. And I definitely admire that because it's certainly not something I can do. But she really is good at just kind of capturing these types of scenes that, again, are noticed or seen but not noticed, and it's great. It's a fantastic image.
Yeah, I don't think I could make something like this, but I know for sure that you wouldn't be able to, Mike. You definitely
would not. Yeah, exactly.
It's
I would probably get low with like a 14 millimeter and try to like
pano.
Yeah, pano. I'd probably do pano. Yeah, that's a good call.
I mean, as we're sitting here talking about her, I'm like going through her page and looking at her stuff, and it's great. I like the depth. That's probably what pulls me into her stuff is you've got some stuff in the front, the foreground that kind of really pulls you through the image, and she has pretty good light treatment on like her shadows and the way she lightens stuff up, and yeah, I mean, I just hit follow on her page, and she really has got some great images here.
What I love too is that this image portrays what winter actually looks like. Like this is the kind of stuff that you see in winter, like everywhere you go. But so rarely are people able to make that into a compelling, visually pleasing photograph.
Yeah, I like that.
The scene itself outside of the camera, outside of the viewfinder, is not remarkable. It's somewhat ordinary, and it's a bunch of like dead stuff, knocked over stuff. It's very imperfect, even more imperfect than most nature is, and yet she was able to create something beautiful with it.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty cool how like different people can kind of take a situation. It could be a little bit noisy and really pull it together where it's an image just like this, where it's like,
it's somehow simple, right? Like, it's just...
I'd walk by it. I'd walk by it.
Yeah, it's also messy, but she's simplified it so well.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
That's true talent for sure.
I really like that a lot.
Yeah, I feel like I've walked by that scene.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we've all walked by it for sure.
Like,
yeah,
it's
no question.
Yeah.
Looks like she's out of Stockholm.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't check, but
who's this?
So this is the same artist as I had before. So I kind of cheated a little bit. I had two from her, just again because I'm so captivated by her work.
You're definitely buying a print from her.
Definitely buying a print from her for sure. Big one too. Probably not a small one.
This is so good.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, check out her website. Check out her Instagram, but her website is even more, diverse. The way her collections are set up, but again, this one just kind of caught my eye. I think initially because of the subtle tonality.
And this looks like it's from the same series of the Seagulls.
It's actually a different series. So
Okay,
this
but
is
it looks
from
like it's
her
birds
series.
again.
Yep, it is, and she is definitely a recurring theme. So she's definitely got a lot of wildflower type scenes, and she's got a lot of bird type scenes. So these are startling.
Yeah.
So this is from her Murmurations series, which, you know, a lot of similar images to this one, but you know, something about the tonality and the transitions in tone in this one, and the very, very subtle balance. You know, I've stared at this image for quite a long time on many separate occasions, and there's just such a subtle balance between the white birds, starlings, and the black ones, and the way that they're balanced and the way the tones are. It's so soothing and pleasing to the eye. And again, you don't need to know, like we were talking about with the first image, you don't really need to know what it is, or at least not immediately. But
Yeah,
there's
it's
just
about
something
like what else
about
it
it.
is.
Exactly. There's just something about it. And to me, this is what art is. You know, it's just something that takes you someplace else. It's something that takes you out of the realistic and the immediate. It makes you think a little bit. And I, again, similar to her first one, I have no idea how she made this image, but it's fantastic. And you know, I love, and I enjoy this one like I enjoy all of her work. So really, really happy to share it out there with you guys and everybody else. The two people are going to watch this.
Yeah, I followed her instantly
Maybe three.
once I pulled up her page.
I'm with you, Eric. I just followed that stuff. I'm just kind of flipping through it, going, wow, the textures, the light, the dark, the image. I mean, there's just so much good stuff going on around here. Just
There's a few of these images from that collection towards the back of her book, and it's just, you know, those are the ones that have caught me a lot. You know, it's just again that combination of taking wildlife photography in a way to a different level, a little bit more expressionist level. That's just there's some gorgeous stuff in there. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, I love when you see work from somebody where it's like 100% theirs.
Yep.
super
Absolutely.
unique. Super unique. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know. This one looks like maybe a double exposure to me. Like if I were to guess, it looks like ICM with like a field of like wheat or like some kind of tall grass, like brown tall grass, and then like a stormy blue sky, and then like another exposure of the birds at faster shutter speed. But I love how they're like tiny to where you can barely make them out. And really, like to me, this one looks like stems and small little flower petals, you know, like really delicate kind of flowers or something like that. Very artistic.
Absolutely. But you know, and it's crazy to, you know, I would love to know, like, did she envision this in the field and like take the images and put them together, if in fact it is double exposure, like you said? I don't know, to have that kind of vision, to see that ahead of time is just, I mean, that's the next level and beyond. So I really appreciate this image.
There's another awesome one. Super cool stuff.
Nice.
We have here, guys. So it's one of those, you know, we've been, it's kind of a continuation of a theme where, you know, you're kind of looking at something and you're like, what is that? When I first saw this image, I mean, I've saw it quite a while back, and I'm just like, just the lights, the darks, the texture. If David, I don't know if you guys are following David or not, you probably are. I mean, his stuff is just fantastic. Really, really enjoy it. But it kind of spoke to it earlier. I really get pulled into stuff where I'm not really exactly sure what it is. What is it? Like I said before, I mean, I don't really need an explanation, but you know, sometimes it helps you put things together. But yeah, I like the tones, I like the shadows, I like the darks, and it's just really soothing and beautiful image for me. And when I saw this months ago, I shared it with my whole family. I'm like, hey, look, you have to see this. You get look at this. And they're like, and everyone was like, well, what is it? And not that that matters. It's just like
That's like such a great question, though. If somebody
Really is.
says that when I show them one of my pictures, that's like a compliment.
Yep.
no question. I love that. I mean, I think that's my favorite type of photography, where it's like you, and it's like you don't demand that you need to know. You have interest in what it is, but at the same time, you're just curious, and it's beautiful, and it really doesn't matter. It's just really it's art. I love it.
Yeah, David has a lot of amazing stuff. I absolutely love his work, and especially his series from the Northumberland coast in I think it's Scotland or Northern. I don't know how that works with those countries over there. They're like connected, but they're not the same. Yeah, like all his intimate coast stuff is incredible. And he has a book too, which I don't have with me right now because I'm not at home, but that book is amazing. If it's still in stock, I would definitely recommend getting a copy of it if you don't have
Like
one.
I
It's
grabbed one
awesome.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, I did have one. Yeah, it's awesome.
What was the
Yeah.
title of it? I forget.
It's in my living room. I'd have to get up to go grab it, and Lord knows I'm not doing that right now.
You don't want to try a sobriety test?
You want me to do it? I'll do it.
It's called Shoreline.
There it is.
Shoreline. Yeah.
So I got my stack of books right here. So so the past 2 April breaks from school, I've gone out to the coast, like near Rockport, north of Boston, and low tide, all this kind of really cool stuff hanging on the rocks. And both times I've been out there, like David's images are like haunting me. Like, this is really difficult to photograph.
For sure.
So just total respect. It just like, yeah, it's really challenging because the light can be so harsh and the reflections and the shadows are so deep. So,
Yeah,
but
it's
not
really
that. Yeah, it's just it's inspiring to see, to try to figure out how you can take something that we've all seen so much when we go to the beaches, in those habitats, of just how to make something that's pleasing to the eye out of it.
Yeah, and it's work. I mean, it's just like you're really
Yeah.
you have to have that diffused light. It's just like kind of digging a little bit deep and like really getting in touch with that creative side and like really like trying to find the because stuff that he's shooting is all over the place. I mean, that sandstone and the motion and whatever it is, it's there, but it's just like capturing it in a cadence where it kind of makes sense and the textures flow, and it kind of pulls you right through the scene, and he does a really good job. And I suck at beach photography. I mean, I just haven't really put in that time. So for me, it's more of not only just an absolute amazing image, it's like super envious of like that kind of dedication to that type of photography.
I'm actually really, really good at coastal photography, but I never get to do it because I live in Utah. I'm not on the coast, so
Goes to live in a desert.
that's why I never see any.
Just soak some cactus in the water. It's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, it's a super nice one. I love David's
Really is.
stuff. Jennifer.
Yeah, Jennifer.
Stuff is amazing.
Yeah, I guess kind of continue on my theme. So this is from Jennifer Renwick. I remember when she first kind of released this image, I was just like, oh my goodness, it's really pretty wild. So from Yellowstone, if I recall correctly. But again, just kind of continuing on that theme of incorporating wildlife into its natural habitat in kind of like this really aesthetic, impressionistic way, that's elevating and just in a different way that, we have all kind of experienced wildlife photography. But this is just kind of taking it in a different direction. Really special moment. I mean, the light there, probably doesn't last quite like that for very long, and to capture these birds, I'm not sure what they are.
Maybe like condors or something. That's Wyoming. They look kind of big, like wide wingspan.
Yeah, they
maybe,
really do
maybe
look big.
eagles, but yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to determine scale here too, but just the switching from warm to cold and the textures are just absolutely gorgeous light.
Yeah.
So I almost threw out my camera when I saw this.
Yeah, this is one of those images that resembles a painting more than a photograph. And if you did paint this, you would do it like in the exact same way, even though you have full control of where you place the birds, where you place the colors, the transition, and everything like that. Like, it's absolutely perfect how it is.
Yeah.
Good pull. That's a good one.
So sorry, Jennifer, if you've sat through all this to get to that.
You can just fast forward to this part.
Well, and like images like this are really hard to work with. And I think, as I'm looking at it, I've seen this image before, but, really looking at it now big on the screen, and it's just so perfect. The tones, the highlights, the shadows, it's just so perfectly balanced. And obviously the color transition is phenomenal. But, these types of images where you've got the dark rocks and the light hitting off the, bright mist, they're so hard to work with. And, it's just striking how well put together this image is in that sense. Definitely an enjoyable image for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked this one because I kind of didn't want to pick any images for my friends, and I've known Jennifer for a few years, and we've hung out quite a bit. Love you, Jennifer. So yeah, it would have been kind of like conflict of interest if I chose this one, but I'm glad you did. That way we could feature it because it's phenomenal, and I also want everybody to know about Jennifer's work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, what I initially went to her website because I wanted to include one of her black and white dolphin images from
those are so good
off California. I love every single one of those, and then I saw this one. I'm like, all right, like I forgot about this one, so we'll go with this one for now.
She's got some stuff.
Since I've photographed with Jennifer in the field, I know this secret that not many people know, but the way she takes amazing photos is she always has her center column fully extended at all times. Never goes.
Of course she does.
Yeah, you can't do an image right if you don't have that fully extended center column.
It never goes
without. That goes without saying, Eric. I mean, come on, man.
Even when she closes the legs, she keeps it extended, like in her backpack and everything. It never goes down.
It's locked.
It's a veteran move. That's a total veteran move, Jennifer. We really appreciate your dedication to the game.
I think she's coming out with a book at some point. Maybe I shouldn't share any details on it, but this one was I first saw this one a few days after the Out of Olympic conference that Joe Rossbach and I both taught at. And Joe's a great guy. It's awesome to see him there. But so we were all shooting stuff for a few days, and then a couple of days later I see this one, and it's nothing like anything that I shot that week. Like I didn't see anything like this, and I was just blown away by how different it was and how visually engaging it is, and it's just awesome. It's so complex, but it's so well presented with the blue background, and I don't know if he shot it on film or digital. I didn't check on this one, but I know like he still shoots a lot of stuff on film. So maybe that blue background is from the film he was using or something, but no matter what, it's super tasteful, even though it's like pretty saturated, which is something that I might not do myself. It's like warranted in this image, and it works visually so well because otherwise it would just be too complex and everything would kind of blend together. You wouldn't have that nice separation that you have here. So yeah, I was super jealous of this one, to be honest. And yeah, I wanted to share it because Joe's been doing amazing work for a long time, and he's a cool guy.
I know it's not, but there's part of it reminds me of like a multiple exposure in a way. but just like in terms of like overlay and such. But it's really stunning.
I feel like you kind of called it there, Eric, on that background that really makes the image for me. It just it separates it. You know, you've got just really those really killer greens, and just really those are really tastefully done. And then you've got that background that just really sets it off. I really like this one. It just kind of pulls you through the image. It's fantastic.
I took some Fiden's cans to the conference, and I know Joe really likes beer, so I gave him a can of my Jasper, and he's blown away.
Nice.
Is he Midwest?
He's in Vermont or Virginia.
Virginia, okay.
Yeah, I think he's in Virginia. Something with a V.
It's not Vermont.
Can I ask a non-image related question really quick? A little time out.
All right. What do you got?
Y'all still on that first beer?
No, yeah, I'm gonna go get another one real quick.
All right.
This is the only one I brought, so I'm savoring it.
Jim, what are you at, dude?
I'm running. I'm glad I'm not driving anywhere.
I was a little.
I'm gonna go find something. I'll be right back.
I know James's bottle is a little bit tall, and it came in a little bit high at 15. I know Eric's got one can in the hopper.
No, this is all I have. I take like 2 hours to drink a can.
Really?
Yeah. I usually drink like one can at a time, maybe 2 cans if I'm going crazy. I savor it.
Okay, well I don't really want to hop up with the can, so let's keep it.
But this one has opened up really, really nicely as it's warmed up here. Because I brought it up, it was kind of cold. But
I bet, dude.
It's just crazy.
You gonna finish that thing tonight?
I kind of don't want to, but I'm
No,
not
you shouldn't. You should save some for tomorrow. It's too much of the same thing. Open up something different instead. Cork it.
Hey Bennett, go with that pro tip on corking that tall bottle.
What?
Go with that pro tip on corking that top bottle, that tall bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling
I need that plug. I need Eric's plug that he sent me.
the butt plug that I sent you.
I mean, seriously. I mean, some people. I mean, they crack that bottle and they're committed to it, and you don't have.
Right.
Yeah. So stouts, especially if they're barrel aged, they typically come in bottles, and that's quite a bit to drink. Not only because it's usually higher percent alcohol, but they're just very heavy, almost too flavorful in order to to where a whole bottle is just too much. So I tend to drink maybe half, and then I cork it, and then the next night I'll drink the second half, and it really doesn't like if you drink it in like 3 or 4 nights, it might fall off and get kind of flat and syrupy, but it definitely holds up well for 2 nights at least, probably 3 nights for most of them.
Nice.
That way you can just like have a little taster, and you don't have to go overkill on it, and you can try some other stuff too.
Yeah, for sure.
I've definitely tasted. I've went with that 3-night theory, and you're spot on. You get that third night out of it.
Yeah, we got some.
Go ahead, Jim. Am I the only one who's got another beer?
Yeah, I think it's just you right now.
Oh boy.
What are you going? What are you going with?
I got to throw a little Vermont love out there. Now it's not going to be it's not Fiden's. It's not Mortalis. It's not Second Fiddle from Fiddlehead Brewing Company. So we'll give this a pull. This is usually pretty consistently good.
Showing some love for the local spot.
Yeah, I got it. I mean, I can't.
I had it on tap. I had it on tap over the winter. It was pretty good.
We can respect the locals only move.
Yep, you got to do it. I mean, it's definitely not hazy. A little more.
So it's an IPA.
Yeah, it's an IPA. It's double IPA. A little more West Coast styles. Not too hazy there. But I got it in their cup.
It looks like just a traditional West Coast IPA.
That's exactly it. But got to represent Vermont while I can, right?
What hops?
Or a small state. Great question, buddy. That's a great question.
Grammar goes out the window after you crack open a beer.
Absolutely, sir. let me get back to you on that one.
That's the
'Cause
whole
it's not on
that's
the
the whole
can.
point of this. I could never do something like this without this excuse that I was drinking, because I just sound like a sober idiot. I'd rather be a buzzed idiot.
Drunk idiot.
You got that buzz.
No, I don't get drunk.
All right, let me see what I can find about Second Fiddle.
It doesn't even tell you what hops are on there.
No, it doesn't. And not much on Untapped. I thought Untapped might have some insight, but
Yeah, usually
Yeah.
Untap will show the profile.
Anything out of Utica, they usually don't.
so
Mystery
Second
hops.
Fiddle, second name only. Big juicy aromatic citrus tropical pine. We taste it, see what my unsophisticated palate can come up with.
It's a sleeper.
Oh, it's definitely piney. I mean, there's a little bit of Citra in it, but yeah, it's definitely West Coast for sure.
So if you've tried, and for those that are listening, if you are watching, if you've tried an IPA and you don't like it because it was too bitter, or you think you don't like IPAs because they're bitter, there are two different ways you can add hops to an IPA. There's called wet hopping and there's dry hopping. And wet hopping is like the traditional way where you're adding the hops in the whirlpool. So before you boil all the beer and let it ferment, you add the hops in the beginning stages, which they do for all IPAs. But when you hop them at that stage, it brings out more of the bittering, the bitter flavors, the pine, the like tongue smacking stuff. And then if you dry hop it, which is after the boil or even during fermentation, they can dry hop it 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times. They just open up the tank and drop the hops in. That makes the more fruity, tropical, smoother flavors that are easier on the palate come out. So a lot of these like Fiden's IPAs and like more modern IPAs from craft breweries, they're just like, they do very little wet hopping for a base flavor because you want a little bit of bitterness and a little bit of complexity, but then they'll dry hop the hell out of it. So you get like huge flavors of like, orange, sometimes like candied lemon, papaya, passion fruit, guava, like all these different things, white wine, grapes. Like there's so many flavors you can get from different hops. And yeah, the dry hopping really brings out those characteristics of it. So I think a lot of people see like dry hop and they think, oh, it's bitter because it's like dry, but that's not what it's implying. Dry hopping means it's just after the boil, and it's actually gonna be a lot more fruity and a lot smoother than a wet hop IPA or a traditional IPA.
Good breakdown.
Heck yeah.
That's how we do it on the network.
Heck yeah.
All right. Well, I think this one's mine. So
You think? You don't remember?
I remember. So I kind of dug a little deeper. I this one replaced something that I had chosen earlier, but again, kind of with that ocean theme, where I'm fairly close to ocean locations here in Portland. I can get over there probably an hour and a half, but for whatever reason, I just don't do it very much. And I love motion. I love texture. I mean, this for this image, I'd love to have something like this in the wall. It's powerful, and I mean, we've all probably seen like these crow waves a lot, sunsets and all kinds of crazy stuff. But I really like the blur introduced here and the texture and the power that this one represents. And then if you look at Darren's profile over there on Instagram, I'm not sure if he has a website or not. I'm pretty sure he probably does. But it's you just scroll through that thing, and there's a good representation of these types of images, which I personally really like. So that's why I selected this one.
Yeah, his Instagram handle is like Gentlescapes, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been following him for a long time. He's got a lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
Apart from wave, he does do a lot of wave photography, but he also has like a lot of intimate landscapes of the coast and other stuff like that.
Super talented.
I'm usually sharing his stuff on my story all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just looking right now. It's really crazy stuff.
Yeah. I love the texture in this image. I mean, his images are always, consistent. He's another one that, like Krister, like you just look at it and like right away, like who made that image. And in this one in particular, it's just the blend of tones and textures. It's absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's kind of image you get lost in, and that's awesome.
Yeah, this one looks like he's like following the wave, but also
Yep.
like a slightly slower shutter speed to grab some of the motion and
Mhm.
blur it out, stretch it out. Really nice. Nice
Yeah,
streaks.
well done.
So it looks like he's getting out there in the water itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've always been like interested in trying wave photography because I've seen lots of really cool images, but it's like kind of a expensive barrier to entry. You got to buy a housing and stuff, and I don't know. I'm lazy.
Learn how to swim.
I was in Maui a few months ago, and you go to the North Shore, and there's like this little peninsula thing where you can kind of go out on this rock, or the sandstone, and you can kind of get pretty far out there in where the waves are breaking. And I was doing some surfer like motion type photography and trying to do some of this stuff, but it's just like everything else, just making sure that you've got overcast sky, long exposure, decent. You got to look at the what do you call it? The tide chart, all of that stuff. See when all that stuff's working. It's just, I mean, there's when you talk about like ocean type photography, there's just a different level of work that goes into it, and it's just patience and time and getting in the right spot. So
That's really cool.
Definitely.
You got to have the right kind of waves to be able to make images like these where they have that nice shape to them and stuff, and you have a good swell.
Yep, for sure.
How's that fiddle stick thing you're drinking?
Going okay.
You went
Erik,
stout. You went
Erik.
stout and then the IPA. I would have done.
I know,
IPA
and I took my
stout.
time with the stout, and that stout was phenomenal. And
But you
I
went from like
wish
heavy dessert.
I know.
to
I
entree.
did it wrong. And you
a good
kind of ruined
Zima, a
me.
good Zima would have been a good bridge there, man. Come on.
Yeah, I know. Well, I drank them all
Episode
earlier,
2.
so yeah.
Episode 2.
Yeah, we should do a seltzer episode.
Whoa.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So this is Matt Redfern. I don't know that much about him as a photographer, but I do know I admire the hell out of his work. And this is an image I saw a while ago. And it's just always kind of stuck in my mind. I had it saved on my Instagram, and it's just one that I just kind of keep popping back into and checking out. And I love the complexity of this image. I love it's subtly abstract. I mean, you know what you're looking at. It's obviously it's a root underwater with some ice on top of it, some submerged leaves, but there's an abstract quality that's it's still uniform, and it's just a very engaging image. The color tones, I think he did a great job with the kind of the bluish gray transition to the warmer leaves. Again, it's kind of one of those images. When I first saw it, I was like, man, I love this, but I really had to spend some time with it, and it's and really appreciate it, and I'm glad I did, and I come back to it often. It's a phenomenally inspiring image, and definitely happy to share it with you guys because I definitely love it.
I'm really glad you chose this one because Matt is actually a good friend of mine, and I've met him in
Nice.
person. I stayed at his house and drank some beers last time
Nice.
I drove through Bend. He's a really cool guy, and his photography is getting really good.
Yeah.
The first time I met him, I think we did a portfolio review. We did a critique group, but after that, I was just blown away by his stuff. And this image, in particular, really impressed me when I saw him post it because, like, literally, it's a photograph of some tree roots and some leaves trapped under ice with some snowflakes on it. But what it resembles, like even more than what it actually is like a fall tree with snow falling. You
Mhm.
know, it's like
Yeah.
it's just done. It's just it's one of those images where it's just like so. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's just like
You
so.
kind of let your imagination run wild with this image.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I
And
mean, it's just
it's presented so well. Like the idea comes across so clear, but it's not contrived or forced.
yep.
Like it's really present, and yet it's not like any kind of crazy camera techniques or anything. It's just the
Yep.
framing. But just like the way he visualized this is really remarkable.
Yeah, so well seen.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love the on top of all that, the textures in the ice itself,
Mm.
Yeah, this is
because it could have easily been just like clear ice, just like
Yep.
flat, like glass.
Yep.
But nope. That's
yeah.
crazy.
I'm looking at his stuff right now, and it's great. And this is a really good showcase of his work. And again, it's one of those images when you look at it, you're kind of trying to wrap your head around a little bit and say, okay, what exactly is this?
Well, because I think like what you first see is a fall tree and like falling snow,
Mm.
right? Like if
Yep.
you kind of squint your eyes, or if it just comes up in your Instagram feed, or that's like the first thing that you read it as, but then you realize like, oh, it's not. It's actually just some roots and some leaves that are lying next to it, and they're encased in snow. So
Yeah, this is great. This is a really good share.
Yeah, good stuff. Love it.
yeah,
Well done, Matt.
glad you picked this one. This is definitely one where I was like jealous and proud at the same time. It's tough when one of your students or past students make something better than you.
The student becomes the master.
That's right.
Always happens. I'm sure he couldn't have done it without me, though.
You made him who he was.
I think I read that. I think I read that in the comments, Eric. He's like, without Bennett, this
Yeah, this would be total garbage. Yeah. Never would have seen it.
I just read through that.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Nice.
So this is one that I submitted here. So this is from Karen Waller, and she's out of southern Australia, and really just kind of a very she's a great person, but she just the range of her work. So she does like this remarkable portrait work, on top of just these really interesting aerial landscapes that she's done of like the salt mines and salt flats and really interesting lake features. But what struck me here, and it may not come across so much in the image, is just how sometimes like the lines between some of the lines between some of the clouds overhead can actually resemble trees. And I just never thought about like that pattern between cloud formations as being kind of an organic look. So again, it's not really showing in the image, but it just kind of got me thinking here. But yeah, just it captured the reflections off the water so nicely, and really great balance, and the way the trees are reaching in opposite directions, and just all really clicked really well.
Yeah, this is an amazing scene, and it's another example of like the capability of an artist to make the ordinary look extraordinary, because in reality it's just like a muddy shore with some branches or grass like sticking out of it and water reflecting the sky. Like it's not inherently remarkable or interesting, but the way that she was able to frame it and present it makes it so visually engaging and just interesting to look at. And it's also very evocative. Like the black and white treatment and the heavier contrast definitely helps. But yeah, I just love seeing photographers that have that ability to make something so simple and even mundane, or, you know, a lot of people would see this as something boring to the naked eye, but the way that she presented it just makes it something entirely different, and, you know, something, it's just elevating the subject matter altogether.
Yeah, and if you were standing on the edge of it, you know, assuming there's a shoreline right on the bottom of that image or something, looking at it eye level, it wouldn't be anything remarkable, you know, in those conditions.
Yeah, it's to me, it's really simple and yet very beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll be honest with you, when I first looked at it, when it first came up, I guess I wasn't realizing that they were full size trees. Like, you know, in a lot of ways, I think the loss of a sense of scale is kind of, you know, serves to be intriguing and engaging, and to kind of pull you in. And it wasn't really until I think I noticed the shadows of the trees that I realized that they were actually trees.
Are they? To me, it looks like a small bush or something, like a dry, like dead bush.
Yeah.
Well, so that's what I thought initially,
but again,
but
like the scale
the way the
obvious.
shadows are moving, I mean, I don't know. I don't know now. You know, I don't know. But that's what I mean. That's what I love. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's making me think. I'm looking at it and I'm appreciating the artistic qualities of it, and, you know, it's engaging me. And, you know, like I said before, some of the other, I mean, that's art. I mean, that's what,
Right.
you know, that's what it's all about, and it's making me think. And it's a fantastic image. Really, really well done.
Yeah. I love the lack of sense of scale whatsoever. Like,
I mean,
like
it could be a drone shot from, I
right.
don't know.
It definitely could. I wouldn't suspect that, but yeah, I could be wrong. It would kind of, in a way, be interesting to know what it is, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Right.
It
I
doesn't,
know
exactly.
she definitely does a lot of aerial work.
Mm.
But certainly her body of work is not all aerial, but just
So
really.
I'll tell you what makes me suspect that they're smaller. If you look at the cloud reflections, if this was like a wider angle, I feel like the clouds would be less detailed and like smaller. But since it's tighter, like that edge of the cloud and like the little textures are really accentuated. That's what kind of makes me. That's kind of like a hint for me that makes me suspect.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, something.
No, it's a really good point. Yeah.
Karen, you got to let us know. Actually, you don't.
No.
You don't at all. I kind of like the mystery of it.
Yeah, leave us guessing.
Yeah.
She won't. She'll just throw another one at you and get you scratching your head.
Love it.
Well, that's the last image for tonight.
Oh, it was only a half hour.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a really great collection, you guys.
Really is.
Super stoked on.
Yeah.
While we were sitting here, I was able to hit follow on a number of those where I really appreciated that. Their art. It was great.
Yeah, definitely discovered some new people. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Always a good thing.
Karen, is it Karen Waller Photography? Someone came up with that name.
Yeah, I think there were a couple, but she's out of Australia for sure.
I think this might be her.
Yeah, that's good to find out. I know a follower. Yeah, Karen Waller Photography. That's her.
Nice. Yeah, that's an instant follow for sure. Nice to find some new stuff.
Yeah, when you see some of her portrait work, which is like, you know, hard to do. It's like crazy. I think that's how I initially kind of ran into her, so to speak, was just.
Yeah, she's done that. So I wasn't sure if it was the same person, so I didn't say it earlier, but like most of the stuff I've been seeing from her, now that I just pulled her up to check, is that kind of multiple exposure. There's not a lot of stuff with agave, I think. That's just, you know, absolutely well done, you know, phenomenal pieces that they're very different from, you know, what you chose here. But definitely her breath is.
All right, Mike's cutting out. He's either drunk now or his internet shit the bed.
Let's blame the internet. Oh yeah, I just got a thing that said your internet connection is unstable.
Yeah, she has like a lot of like it looks like studio work with plants. They're really beautiful and unique. That's why I wasn't sure if it was her or not because the subject matter was really different from this one. But
Yeah.
It's definitely
really
her.
cool stuff.
Mike's leaning into that 15% pour that you got a little earlier.
Awesome. Well, probably a good point to call it. Pleasure to
Sure.
catch up with you guys and look
Yeah,
at some
for
images
sure,
with
man.
you.
Hey,
Yeah,
good
thanks for getting this together.
stuff, guys. Really appreciate it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Excellent images. Good beers. Good time. The network.
Do it again
Absolutely.
tomorrow night. Okay.
Yeah, tomorrow's good for me.